The message appears on your screen at 3 in the morning. Your computer suddenly freezes. The cursor won't move. Then slowly, text begins typing itself across your monitor. We know who you are. We know where you live. Payment is due. This isn't some Hollywood movie. This is the reality for thousands of victims caught in the web of the most dangerous criminal empire ever built on the dark web. Deep beneath the surface internet that you and I use every day lies a hidden world where identities are stolen, lives are destroyed, and fortunes are made from human misery. At the center of this digital underworld sat one man whose real name nobody knew, whose face nobody had seen, but whose reach extended into every corner of the globe. They called him the Architect, and for over a decade, he built an empire that would make traditional crime bosses look like amateur pickpockets. What you're about to hear is the true story of the largest manhunt in cybercrime history. A hunt that spanned continents, involved dozens of law enforcement agencies, and took years to complete. By the time you finish this video, you'll understand how one person managed to orchestrate crimes worth hundreds of millions of dollars while remaining completely invisible. You'll discover the sophisticated methods used to track down someone who existed only as code and encrypted messages. And you'll learn why this case changed everything about how we think about crime in the digital age. But here's what makes this story truly extraordinary. The person they were hunting wasn't some shadowy figure operating from a basement. This was someone who walked among us, lived in plain sight, and built relationships with people who had no idea they were sitting across from one of the world's most wanted criminals. The investigation began with a single stolen credit card. Detective Sarah Chen was working the graveyard shift in the San Francisco Police Department's fraud division when the call came in. An elderly woman named Margaret Foster had discovered that someone had been using her credit card to make purchases she'd never authorized: groceries in Miami, electronics in Chicago, hotel rooms in cities she'd never visited. It seemed like a routine case of identity theft until Chen started digging deeper. What she found was disturbing. Margaret Foster's stolen information wasn't being used by just one person. It was being sold, resold, and distributed across multiple criminal networks. Her social security number had been used to open 17 different credit accounts. Her personal information was listed on underground marketplaces alongside thousands of other victims. Someone was running a massive operation that turned people's most private data into commodities to be bought and sold like stocks on Wall Street. Chen started mapping the connections. Every stolen credit card led to another victim. Every victim led to another criminal buyer. Every buyer connected to a larger network. What emerged was a picture of something unprecedented in the history of crime. This wasn't just theft. It was industrialized identity harvesting on a scale that law enforcement had never encountered before. The deeper Chen dug, the more complex the operation revealed itself to be. The criminals weren't just stealing credit card numbers. They were harvesting entire digital lives: bank account information, medical records, employment history, family photographs, private messages. Everything that made someone who they were was being systematically extracted, cataloged, and sold to the highest bidder. But the most chilling discovery came when Chen realized that this wasn't random. The victims were being chosen strategically: elderly people with good credit scores, young professionals with high-paying jobs, small business owners with access to company accounts. Someone was studying these people, learning their habits, their weaknesses, their vulnerabilities, and then exploiting them with surgical precision. As Chen's investigation expanded, she began reaching out to colleagues in other cities, other states, other countries. What she discovered sent shockwaves through the law enforcement community. The same patterns were appearing everywhere: London, Tokyo, Sydney, Berlin. Someone had built a criminal network that operated across every continent in every time zone, targeting victims with a level of sophistication that made traditional organized crime look primitive. The evidence all pointed to a single source. Someone at the top of this pyramid was coordinating everything, setting prices, establishing territories, resolving disputes between criminal buyers, managing quality control to ensure that stolen information was accurate and profitable. This person had built what investigators would later describe as the Amazon of identity theft, complete with customer service departments, user reviews, and money-back guarantees. They called him the architect because he had constructed something that had never existed before. A criminal empire built entirely in cyberspace, managed through encrypted communications, and staffed by people who had never met face-to-face. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. While Chen was building her case in San Francisco, a computer science student named David Park was working on his master's thesis at MIT. Park had been studying cryptocurrency transactions, trying to understand how digital money moved through the blockchain. What he discovered would crack open the biggest lead in the case. Park noticed something strange in the Bitcoin network. Massive amounts of cryptocurrency were being moved through a series of digital wallets, but the transactions followed patterns that didn't make sense for legitimate business. The money would arrive in one wallet, get split into dozens of smaller amounts, then reassembled in different wallets before disappearing entirely. It was like watching someone launder money, but instead of using banks and shell companies, they were using mathematics and computer code. When Park shared his findings with his professor, who happened to have contacts in federal law enforcement, the information eventually made its way to Chen. What she saw changed everything about her investigation. The cryptocurrency transactions lined up perfectly with the timing of identity theft crimes. Every major data breach corresponded with a surge in these mysterious Bitcoin movements. Someone was converting stolen identities into digital currency with mechanical precision. The FBI formed a task force within weeks. Agent Marcus Rodriguez, who had spent 15 years tracking organized crime, found himself learning about blockchain technology and encryption methods. This wasn't the kind of criminal he was used to hunting. There were no physical locations to raid, no witnesses to interview, no paper trails to follow. Everything existed in the digital realm, protected by layers of encryption that made the most secure bank vaults look like cardboard boxes. The task force grew rapidly as more agencies recognized the scope of the operation. Europol contributed investigators from 12 different countries. The Australian Federal Police shared intelligence about similar crimes in the Pacific region. Even agencies that had never worked together before found themselves coordinating efforts to track down someone who seemed to exist only as patterns in computer networks. For months, they chased digital ghosts. Every lead disappeared into encrypted networks. Every breakthrough revealed another layer of protection. The architect had built his empire to be investigation-proof, using technology that stayed several steps ahead of law enforcement capabilities. Traditional surveillance methods were useless against someone who could change identities as easily as changing clothes. But every criminal, no matter how careful, eventually makes one critical mistake. 3 years into the investigation, as Chen and her team closed in on the architect's true identity, they discovered something that would shock the world. The mastermind behind this digital empire wasn't just hiding in plain sight. He was someone you'd never suspect, operating from a place that would redefine how we understand cybercrime forever. This case proved that in our connected world, the most dangerous criminals aren't the ones we can see coming.